Hey guys, back with another Echoing Thoughts podcast here, episode number 32. And we got another great guest here. Mirjane is back talking about Legion. He's ranked fourth in our server, almost 8,900. He's a legend, a gamer, true gamer. He talks about kind of his daily routine, how he got to that Legion level, and kind of just shares insight dailies on his, how he maximizes alts, how he, is able to still boss at the highest level on multiple mains. He has a pally, he has a buck. He talks about all of that, on what he does on a daily routine. And I talk a little bit about my perspective. I'm 5,500 Legion, trying to get to 6,700, eventually 8,200. I talk about my perspective, what I'm trying to do. He talks about his. It's just great back and forth knowledge. It gives you guys kind of insight of all spectrums, kind of to hopefully help you guys make the right decisions, be as efficient as possible, time-wise, mesos-wise, and, to reach your goals, your Legion goals, your gameplay goals, whatever it is, in the, most efficient, maximize, best way possible. Don't want you to waste any time or money. So definitely want to listen to this. He just has a lot of nuggets, great information. You guys are going to really love this one. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe. Ask any questions that you have. Comment below what you want me to talk about next, the next podcast. And, don't forget to like. Appreciate all of that. Thank you for all the support. But without further ado, let's jump into the podcast with Mirjane. All right, we're back here with Mirjane. He came on a few podcasts back. This is episode number 32, and wanted to have him on because he's really the Legion guy. They kind of he's with the last anniversary update with the Legion changes, it's kind of the big thing right now. The economy, the whales, everyone's sort of focusing on building up their Legion to get that cap, whether it's 5,500, 6,700, what is the 9,200, 8,200 for the last step of max damage cap. So thank you for coming in, joining us.
I'm glad to be back, and I'm happy to talk about Legion.
Yeah. Before we get into Legion, though, it was funny. I was talking to Broly, Pathfinder, right before this, and we were just reminiscing. I was talking to him about how 1 year ago, I was looking at a YouTube video, and the game was completely different. V2 just came out, right, just after anniversary. My cap was about 1,400. I think max cap was probably 15 something. The video that I posted on August 1st, 2022 was Covert, number one NA score. It was 5190. And that was level 210, still Pally Pika, just a fresh Paladin. And today, 1 year later, level 236, I think. So in 12 months, 24 levels, or 26 levels. And Covert score is almost triple that, and cap is almost 10 mil above that. And I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts when you hear that. Just 1 year ago, how much we haven't cleared Lotus yet at that time. Kind of what's your initial thoughts of that?
I think 1 year ago was a pretty big change for us. V2 made everyone pretty excited on clearing Lotus for most guilds. It was still definitely very difficult, but now it's gotten easier over the year, months, and now we're closing in on like almost 4-minute runs from 10-minute runs. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. But I think the game has slowed down over these past few months. Let's say like last 3 or 4 months. And then now people are trying for Damien, and now we've just hit a wall.
Yeah. We were, what is that? February, Absolab came out with the crystals. That's when Damien came out as well. And it's been almost that 6-month mark, right? You were saying, since Damien came out, no one's cleared it yet in Asia. Or in NA. So kind of interesting to see.
Around the world.
Yeah, in the world, right? So, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to clear, well, within the next few months. Maybe in August patch they'll have something. But does that make you think that when you hear that I gained, I'm 236 now, right? 16 levels, you're kind of, the EXP curve has changed a lot since then. Obviously, people, Moonbeam showed that video, first level 250, the Blaze Wizard.
Yeah,
What are your kind of thoughts on, I guess, just the EXP? Do you feel like we're progressing too fast for them to keep up? Do you think levels are going too quickly? Because I think right now, for me, at the new Arcana map, I went from 235 to 236 in a little over 2 weeks with all the EXP events, extended hot times, new maps. It's not slowing down for us. But what are your thoughts on, kind of where the game is at as far as levels, as far as kind of the EXP curve? Do you think we're progressing too fast, or you think like, it's just fine and that's just how it's going to be?
For EXP curve, I think it's pretty fine actually. Since people are mainly buying AB to just like keep leveling, then it's probably fine. Right now the cap is what, 270 now?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it'll still be a really, really long way for people to level. So
Yeah.
For me, I'm not that big of a EXP grinder or perma party, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm still 219 on both my characters, on my Buck and Pally. So excited to reach 220 for that new map.
Yeah, the new map. Yeah, and let's get into that. I mean, like you said, right? We talked about I think you're ranked fourth, right? Almost 9,000 Legion.
Yeah,
right. So you're one of
almost 8,800.
Almost 8,900.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're one of the biggest benefactors from this Legion change. What I guess the first question is what got you into Legion, right? What made that such a big part of your gameplay, right? You said your mains, you don't have a perma, anyone above 220. So what made you focus on Legion versus kind of the route that everyone else took, which was auto battle, permas, leveling as much as possible on your main?
So back then I used to watch Tanmeister, if you know of him.
Yeah.
He used to just train alt and ED way back when. And I thought that was
Bowmaster, right?
Yes, he's a Bowmaster. I think he still plays regularly, but very, very casual.
Yeah.
So I got the idea of doing a lot of EDs and like a lot of alt training from him. And then it sort of led me to stop buying AB over the years. So that was kind of nice. And you could see that for NA, everyone that has over 8,200 Legion basically has played more than 3 years now. So it's definitely hard to get. It's not easy to get. It costs a lot of money still. And yeah.
Yeah. So like you were talking about, do you have an idea of how many level 200s you have right now?
Currently I have 4 level 200s, two 219, one 204, and another that's level 200. And then the rest are level 180 and above.
Jeez. That's insane. I know. I just like so I mean, you're kind of the unique case. You're talking about everyone above 820. They do it a certain way, but you're kind of the exception, right? You actually boss. I don't think too many of them at that high Legion have, your Buck and your Pally are clearing Lotus, very geared. What was kind of your, everyone thinks, with Legion now, right? It's either one or the other a lot of the times.
Yeah.
What kind of advice or what was your thought process when it came to, you wanting to go that route, right? 2 mains, double maining basically on the same account, and then being able to do endgame bossing while still maintaining your Legion?
For me, I saw it as a way to still make gains on my main actually. So every single character is able to do chaos daily dungeons for those necro stones. So that allowed me to make my second main, which was my Pally, And now my Pally's caught up to my buck, so it's crazy to be
Yeah,
honest. And
crazy.
uh, the balance between Legion and bossing, to be honest, you just have to like the game. I think that's it. You
Yeah.
just have to really, really like the game to do both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what separates me from most other people.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. It's kind of my next question, right? It's like, everyone, it's kind of time or money or, how much you play the game or if it's just auto battering. What would you say your daily kind of routine is like when it comes to alts?
For me, I only do CDD and ED. And ED is my main source of like I wouldn't say income, but sort of the factory. The one that it helps me make mythic fodders. It helps me fuse for tradable mythic emblems, and CDD also helps me with those necrostones and
Right.
chaos fodders, which we need for to exalt chaos items.
What do you funnel everything into your main or do you kind of use CDD and, powders to make, you said mythic mastercraft scrolls, things like that. Do you mainly just use it all to funnel into your mains or do you kind of use it to make mezzos in trade server and then kind of use those mezzos how you want to? What is your strategy when it comes to like selling or keeping for your main?
For me, I don't really sell anything. I do sell service, but I don't. Nothing is for my main really. Uh, most of the powders go back into the equips that I make into Necro because as it takes a lot of powders just to level them back up.
Yeah.
Once you get it to Necro or get it to Chaos or whatever.
So you're kind of big into like making necro projects, like tradable equipment, things like that.
Yeah.
Would you like for me? I think one of the things that I find so fascinating about you and your CDD armies and your elite dungeon Legion army really is how why you kind of go into mythics, the necro route versus like min-maxing trade server, right? Like what is, maximizing red mezzos to, make real mezzos to purchase other things. If you were to go that route, what would you recommend for someone like me or other players when it comes to like using those powders? Would you recommend, fusing uniques, selling legendaries? Would you recommend fusing all the way up to legendary to make mythics and then selling mythics, on trade server? What do you think is like a good way to, what is a big market and what would you say is like a good way to use those powders and things like that, the resources you get from all the alts that you have?
I think there's a few ways you can use those powders. You can definitely, there's a profitability in using max legendaries, and there will always be a market for mythics. But sometimes they usually sell between 220 to 350 mil, and then maybe 400 for like the best in slot stuff, like the giants and the muspel hats and bloody gloves or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's something that I've been like kind of dabbling with because just interested in while we're leveling Legion, right? There's a way to maximize it, things like that. So I was just interested because I was making like star forcing stuff with red mezzos and then like trying to sell those or use them as adult reduction, fodders, things like that. There's just like so many routes to take. But yeah, it's a good point with the mythics. I think there's always going to be a market, right? I feel like if you do fuse, you can fuse an emblem, you can fuse a best in slot, maybe an emblem with a CD or BA. That's good profit. right? I do think that, especially there was kind of I guess a rebalance to powders too, right? It wasn't there recently something where powders are like more
Oh
efficient.
yes. Yeah, I think it was only a slight increase. I mean, slight decrease, but it wasn't that heavy. It was kind of nice, but it's still a lot of powders.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, what would you say for someone that's new to Legion, I guess? So like I'm at like 5,500, right? I was happy to get to that. And I'm trying to take that next step to 6,700. Or people even, just trying to get to 5,500. What would you say is the best like Star Force number to get to? Is it, getting to a certain map? Is it, would you recommend getting to 160 or maybe like 168, 180 for those maps? What is your kind of your go-to Star Force level?
For me, I say SF18 is ideal for every single of your equips because I think it's a little over 150, and then you get a unique secondary and 3 SF earrings and a 3 SF necklace or ring, which adds up to 160 SF for CDD. So that's ideal. But if you're just starting out your Legion and you just want to get to like 5,500, then 17 is fine. I believe that gets you to 144.
Yep.
And
with a unique
that's
secondary.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll give you that start to like start doing your Legion 144. And 144 is really, really fast.
Yeah.
I do most of my leeching and training in 144. Sometimes I go a little bit higher to like 158 if I have time to train in those higher maps.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't go past 160 or 160 or like 168 because it's not that good.
Yeah. It's definitely for those people that are trying to, whale out, right?
Like fast gains.
Yeah. I think right now it's funny you say that where, with the Kana event, the burning event, where a lot of our guildies are trying to maximize, the 2-for-1, right? Levels with the burning event. And we actually went up to 180. We ended up spending like, you need hyper stats at that point. Some people do top and bottom. Some people are like just whatever it takes, buying the packages. For the 3-star force, the growth package for the 3-star force, I think neck and the ring for the extra star force. People are like, whatever it takes, all different combinations, just for being as efficient as possible. I got up there. I definitely don't recommend doing that for all your alts.
No, definitely not.
But like the event is nice. I think like just every 2-for-1. But it also, I think, you talked about auto battling, finding a party at SF 144 and 168 and then 180. But that isn't really your go-to way for getting experience, or what I've learned. What can you talk a little bit about? You talked about just doing elite dungeons. You just talked about doing CDD. But have you ever dabbled with daily quest? Have you dabbled with getting 4 out of 6? There's if you don't know, there's a daily quest. There's 6 of them, right? You probably do it on your main. It's like daily dungeon, elite dungeon, dimension evasion, 1,000 kills in Star Force, arcane map, guild attendance, and I think that's it.
Commander.
Commander. Yeah. So there's 6 of them, but like on alts, 4 out of the 6 is enough, right? It doesn't take long. Have you ever went that far, or is that just too time consuming for you?
For me, it's already too time consuming with
because how many alts do you have?
I have 45.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and I do it on all of them. So it'll take me a while.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What do you usually take right now for just elite dungeons? Is that like a couple hours?
It's 4 to 5 hours usually. It could be a little less if I do it fast enough.
Yeah. But you kind of just passively do them throughout the day, or do you do like all at night?
I do it passively throughout the day.
Yeah. So it's not really like sitting there for 4 to 5 hours, right? It's kind of just when you have time and set it and forget it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go back on your question, if I do like 4 out of 5 of the daily missions, I don't. So, but I know people that are higher Legion than me do it, but not to that great extent. You know, maybe like 1 to 5 characters a day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I believe I talked to the 9K Enosys Legion person, and he said he does it. But
Crazy.
I don't think he does it on all of them every single day.
Yeah. Seems like a full-time job on top of a full-time job.
Yep, basically.
But
And
I mean,
there's
like you said,
there's also the daily hunts that also gives pretty decent EXP at the
Right.
lower levels as well.
right. And even like at higher levels, like Edge, Edge of Space, right? It's called, I think. But yeah, like you mentioned, the daily quest, there's like, if you're level 200 plus, you have the daily symbols for Arcane, for Choo Choo, whatever it is. From level 140 on, you also have 2 quests that you can do on a daily. You just auto battle it, same as, you know, the symbols one at level 200 plus, and they give a ton of XP as well. It's like about, I think like maybe level 140, it's like 7% each, 8% each. So that's a free 15, 16%. Doesn't take very long, right? It's auto battle, so you can kind of just forget about it. So yeah, those are all great options. And it's kind of fascinating, like to hear how long it takes, right? Everyone here is like 40 something else, right? 4 to 5 hours. But like you said, right? If you enjoy the game, then you enjoy the game. It's not a burden, right? And people probably think that's like, you know, overtime. You don't want to be doing that all day. And no, we get it, right? You get it, I get it. But like you said, it's for me, like for alts, I probably spend about an hour here and there. Maybe I kind of take the route of, instead of doing like, I have a certain amount of CDD alts. I think I have about 15. And then I have a few that are over level 175. So I do those powders for the legendary powders. I don't think the uniques are really that worth it, right? For time wise, anyways. But if you're over 175, the elite dungeons, the powders are nice, the legendary powders. I do it on those. And then I really just choose kind of a few that are under 150, where I do the daily quest. I do the dimensions evasions. I try to get 4 to 6 plus the daily quest. I get about almost 50%, probably from like level 130 to 150 at least. I probably level every other day. Just doing that.
That's crazy.
But it's time consuming, right? I only try to stick to 3 of those characters a day, just to not burn out, right? Like just try to, so I can auto battle my pally. But it is kind of, for the people listening, it's kind of just the differences, right? You got to find that balance, time spent, burning out, right? There's Legion is one of those things that it's time constraint, right? You can't really, even if you spend a ton of money to whale out and get to SF 194, even, it's still going to take time. It takes away from your main. You can't just get it in one day. You can't just buy the piece. You can't just keep whaling on in one day and spending. You're still going to be constrained by time. It's going to take you, I think, months if you were just even like training for a few hours here on alts, even in hot time. So the point is, like, each person, there's levels to it, right? You've been doing it for years. You got a system down and you enjoy the game. It's not burden. It's not taxing. But if it is for other people, right? Half an hour. But I think the point is, the reason I wanted to have you here was how efficient you can be, right? You don't want to be wasting time like in SF, choosing to auto battle for 2 hours in SF 80 or SF 113 or SF 30, when you could be doing, if you're auto battling for like 5 hours on that character versus like doing your dailies, doing your daily quests, you'll get 50% a day, 40% a day, and spend a fraction of the time, right? And that's kind of what I wanted to have here and bring you in to kind of discuss that. But for, is there anything you want to add on to that? Kind of for those people that are like kind of, in between or don't know where to start. What would you kind of have to say?
Uh, I would say getting your characters to 120 is definitely a start, and then
Yeah.
after that, I think the daily hunt and the daily EXP mission rewards are
Yep.
definitely worth it
Hmm.
during those levels to 150.
Hmm.
But after 150, you might want to slow it down, and that's where you start like you don't want to burn yourself out during
Right.
that time
Yeah.
because going to 8200 is even longer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's true.
So getting to 6700 Legion, I believe like most of your ults have to be level 150-ish. And then getting to 5500 is 120, which is
Mhm.
fairly easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. 120 is you get the Legion. I mean, the link skills as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of that number. Um, and those are, 0 to 120 is the fastest, right? That's the best bang for your buck. And tell people, then you can kind of slowly go from there to 120, 150. So like if you're just focusing on Legion, trying to get that number up for levels, you always want to make sure that you maxed out, get to 120, then do another 0 to 120.
Yep.
Max out your character slots, things like that before, you move on to 120 to 150 or whatever it is, right? And it's more like fulfilling, right? When you see your levels go up from 0 to 120, that's way more, that's way more like satisfying than one level a day, 5 levels a day, going from like 120 to 125 to 150 or whatever. So, yeah. Um, and then there's, if you're looking at CP, right? What is the CP kind of benchmark? Uh, do you know what like certain how do you get more CP for your Legion? Isn't it like level 150, a certain Star Force? What were you saying it was?
So it's 150 SF for 4 mil CP, and then 100 SF for 2 mil CP, and then I think it's like check. It's 150 SF for 1 mil CP or something like that.
Hmm.
And then
Level
the
150?
levels
Oh,
no,
level.
Star Force.
Oh, so there's from 1 4. Okay, so 150 is the highest. Is that what it is?
Yeah, 150 is the highest.
Okay, and what was the one below that? 120,
100.
100. Okay,
And then the next one below that is 50. So 50
oh,
gives 1 mil CP, 100 gives 2 mil CP, and 150 gets 4 mil CP.
okay. And then levels was, do you remember?
Levels can vary between character to character. It's not that big of a jump
Hmm.
between everything. So the
Oh,
main focus is the SF.
yeah. And then the levels is for the Legion blocks. That's right, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's level 100 for 2 blocks and then level 150 for 3 blocks.
And then 200, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, so that's all kind of little things within Legion. But again, there's just a lot going on in Legion. It's honestly a whole nother game that I'm very fascinated to kind of explore a little bit, because of alt story, right? Because of the benefits of leveling, playing different characters, leveling it up, and it can help fund it's return on your investment, in my opinion, because if you get it to CDD, those are resources. If you get the powders, those are resources you can use for your main. So if, whether you're spending on hyperstats, whether you're spending on star forcing equipment, accessories, things like that, it kind of all pays back in the long run as you kind of just accumulate them and do dailies, right? I have about 15 CDD alts versus your 40 something, right? Long way to go, but it's something, right? It's kind of something you can look forward to mindlessly getting those resources, necro attempts, ancient attempts, whatever it is. I wanted to talk to you about, shoot, blanked out. We'll take a break and then we'll come back with a question that I. All right, we're back, and I remember my question. It was a few questions. My first one was sort of we talked about accessories, right? For Star Force, what I guess where do you get your accessories? How do you Star Force them? What is the most kind of efficient way to accumulate these?
So accessories you can get from the hard expedition bosses. So from Pink Bean, Horntail, and Zakum.
Exactly.
They give the epic accessories. You can use gold leaves to get the scissors to transfer them to different characters if you don't want to when you're finished with them. You can also get rings and the cat earrings from Czak, which are transferable. And I think that's it.
Yeah. I think also they have the reward boxes now. Just accumulating. So if you want to do bossing on alts, you can accumulate it that way and just by clearing those bosses X amount of times. But on your main, you can. I don't think those equipments are from the reward boxes are tradable, but all of them, the from hard expos to chaos expos, those are actually all tradable within, before you equip them. So definitely wanted to use that. That's how you get the accessories. And then I think also one of the little tips that I learned from, I think it was Primo, was Monster Park. That's actually a good source of EXP for alts. I did it on my Kana this week, and I think I got like 15% at level like 150 or 160 per run, and you get 5 runs. So that's actually something you may want to look into. EXP wise, if you want to do it on your alts, it may be a little harder, may take a little longer, but definitely a new avenue to take for EXP. And also the coins are account bound. So you can actually Star Force those. And whether you decide to do it on your main or your alts, the actual Monster Park, the coins are, you can use them. You can purchase whether the rings, you can purchase the earrings, the necklace, and actually Star Force those as well. And you just have to make sure that those aren't tradable. So you buy it on the right account. I think you can get about 100 coins a week. So that's pretty nice. Another way to Star Force just by doing it daily. So kind of interesting to, all these dailies, these little things that you may overlook. There's value in them, right? Just for Legion, for playing the game, like you said. And so, yeah, that's always easy. Star Force, things like that. And, for like hyperstats, one last thing. There's a lot of hyperstat coupons in events, things like that. They're kind of handing them out now. I think even in the new attendance, right? In the new attendance.
Yes. It's right? Like 30 mil or 50 mil, I believe.
Yeah. So I think in the new attendance, they're giving out the 7-day EXP gold leaves, EXP ring, but also they're giving out those hyperstat coupons on top of the events and things like that. So definitely if you're starving on mesos, or you're trying to use hyperstats for Star Force, it's definitely just want to look out for those coupons. You can use red mesos as well, obviously, maximize that. But there's a lot of different ways to improve your Legion, improve your Star Force to get to certain numbers, to do all that stuff, right? So definitely they're putting an emphasis on it, and they're helping us out more than they did before to get to, more focus on alts and things like that. So pretty cool. A lot of new things. And kind of the last question was, now I'm blanking again. What did we ask? It was, what was it?
I forgot.
We'll come back. Hold on. All right, we're back 1 minute later. And question I was going to ask you was, what other resources, like benefits, are there from doing alts, right? What other resources do you use? Do you use Gold Leaf? What would you recommend in kind of the Gold Leaf shop? Do you, use guild? I know people that use guild points for certain things in there on their alts as well. What kind of things do you take advantage of that you kind of get from doing alt story Legion?
So I transfer when I do ED, you always get epic armors and equips, and I usually transfer those to my main to get gold leaves. And from the gold leaf shop, I occasionally buy the gold leaf ring and teleport rocks for doing my dailies, and then the rank up stones. Rank up stones are pretty huge when you're trying to level emblems or even make new rank up emblems that you want to equip.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's no cap to those two, right? Gold leaf. There's no like weekly or monthly cap to the armor stones.
There's no cap for gold leaves.
Yeah. So
And
yeah.
You said something about RA coins. I usually use the RA coins for scrolls and boss rush, and but that's mainly account based, so there's not really much you can do on alts for that. And what's it? Kerning Tower. Kerning Tower. I don't really. It's also account based, so I usually buy everything on my main. I usually buy out the scrolls and the AB.
Yeah. Yeah. So lucky scrolls are a big one, right? You can get those monthly, all those Kerning Tower, gold leaf doesn't have root abyss, and then gold leaves. Yeah. I do the same thing. I transfer all my unique epic armors from my elite dungeons to my main gold leaves for the ring. But now I might just store it up, rank up stones, things like that. It's just another way to take advantage of the system. There's no cap to it, so you kind of just buy as much as you want. But yeah, is there anything else that I guess you do? I mean, you're not just a Legion guy, right? You're a gamer, right? You play the game. You know kind of the ins and outs of bossing, dailies, alts. What other kind of, if you have any like things that we haven't talked about, secret tips that kind of you know about that not too many people know about? Do you have anything you can think of?
Not off the top of my head, but to go back on your point for the GP stuff, your guild points, I usually, if your alts have a lot of GP, you can also use you can open the guild shop too and get the unique potential scrolls and bronze stamps if you're doing necro projects. So that's one thing I figured out like maybe a month or two ago. So that was very, very nice, because you don't really get a lot of unique scrolls or stamps in these events nowadays.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Another thing too, probably not that viable for a lot of people, but like you have double mains, you have a lot of level 200s. I was thinking of like back in the day, or even now, if you get to 4100 in Covert, free boxes there. And then Commander, right? That's a big one. If you have time, if you can find like guildies that are going to help you guys out, you guys kind of like help alts, things like that. If you need commander boxes for those chaos shards, that's actually a great, great way to get to, bang for your buck, right? Doing dailies, the bosses, Magnus, Von Leon, and Hilla. Those commander shards are actually very valuable. Kind of a new daily that kind of has happened probably recently in the last couple of months. So if you can, that's kind of another milestone, I guess. If you can even get one more alt or character to be able to do that, Legion, it definitely kind of adds up, right? It kind of just another source of income, resources, things like that. So yeah, but that's all I got for you. Thank you again for hopping on. Always learn a lot from you when talking to you. But excited to see you at night. I can't believe you're at almost 9,000. I remember like only recently I only pay attention to it. So it's insane that you like are able to do all this content, bossing, be the number one buck, player pally as well in Lotus, and then on top of that be top right up there with Legion. It is pretty insane. So thank you again for coming. Thank you everyone for listening. And I hope this listening to Kev or Mirjane talk. Hopefully you guys learned something to kind of help you guys maximize and be efficient with dailies and things like that and leveling and Legion. But thank you again. We'll see you next time.